All right, we are on the fourth part now of Learning Guide 15. We're looking at topic 5 now. So, this situation, we have cos squared equals a cot and times a sine. So we're going to use some of our identity skills now. So let's just change this guy to c squared equals cot is c over s times s. And let's just tidy up. This s takes that s out. So now we have cos squared x equals cos x. Now let's do some isolating. So I'm going to fire that over. So I have cos squared x minus cos x equals 0. Now you're going to be using some factoring skills. Well, I have a cos common, so a cos comes out. So I have a cos x minus 1. Now remember that if we have a cos outside and it equals 0, there's one of our isolated. Cos x equals 0. And the other one comes from this bracket, so it's cos x equals 1. Okay, so we now know these guys. We're getting pretty good at it now. They're either going to be the special triangles, they're going to be either unit circles, or they're going to be on the unit circle, or they're going to be using the calculator. And I recall zeros and ones on the unit circle. So remember, where on the unit circle, so if we draw it each time, we will get pretty good at it. So 100, negative 100, 01, undefined, 0, negative 1, undefined. And I'm looking for where cos is a 0, so here and here. So I know my answers are going to be, we're in degrees, so 90, 270. And I know that cos 1 is right at the beginning at 0. Looking over here, it's not including 360. All right, the next question, I want you to pause and you give it a go. So now we have sine squared equals a half. S over c is tangent times c, it's gone. So we have sine squared equals 1 over s. Move that over. So s squared minus 1/2 s. So now I know there's a sine that's common, that comes out. So there's a sine x minus a half inside. So the first one is sine x equals 0. That's this guy. And the other one is going to be sine x equals the opposite, negative 1/2, positive 1/2. Okay, now we have a mixture of the two. This guy is the unit circle, and this one here is the special triangles. All right, so sine 0, well, we know that to be at, well, we're again in degrees, to be 0 and 180. Now this guy we have to draw. Sine positives there, and we label it. So we know that is 30 degrees. Remember 1 here, that tells us. So it's going to be 30 degrees, and then 180, subtract 30 is 150. So there's the answers. Now, example 2, we have 2 sine equals 7 minus 3, and cosecant is 1 over s. So I want to get rid of this s, so times everything by s. That gets rid of that guy. So now I have 2s squared equals 7s minus 3 Fire those guys over because you want this guy to be positive. Do our triple play, our decomposition. And we know this goes into there, so we get 2s minus 1, and we get s minus 3. So from this guy we get sine x equals 1/2, and the other one is sine x equals 3. Remember, reject, because remember hypotenuse is 1, and this is the opposite. You can't have your hypotenuse less than the other one. Okay, this guy is sine positive, and it's going to be the same as we just did up above here, so I'm just going to cheat a bit. All we're doing is just switching it from degrees to radians, so that's pretty easy. It's pi over 6, pi over 6. So it's pi over 6, comma, and 5 pi over 6 plus, because here's the general solution, so I'll do a different color, 2 pi n ei. Okay? And you'll start seeing patterns when you get to solving these guys. So this one's 3 cos plus 2 equals 5 1 over c. Get rid of that c, times, times, times. So now we have 3 cos, 5 over 3 cos squared plus 2 cos minus 5 equals 0. Set up our triple play. Oh, pardon me. This side. So we have 3 cos plus 5 and cos minus 1. So we have cos x plus 1, remember the opposite. And here we have cos x equals negative 5 over 3. Again, you guys will see can't have, reject. So where on the unit circle is cos 1? And we know cos 1 to be at 0. General solution plus 2 pi n ei. Now the last section, topic 6, is just doing some more with some factoring. Now this one here, you have to try not to change this into s over c's, because when I see tan and tan, just notice that it's in both of those terms. Take the tan out. Then you know that tan x equals 0 because it's factored out, and this is sine x equals 1/2. All right. Now where is tan 0? Well, we know tan to be 0 here and here on the unit circle. So we have 0 and we have pi, because the question's in radians. And this guy is sine positive 2, 1, so I know this is pi over 6, pi over 6. So this is pi over 6, and like I said, you'll get pretty used to these patterns of answers. All right, example 2, we have an identity. So 2sc equals the square root of 2c. Move it over. 2sc minus square root of 2c. Notice a c common, so take a c out. Equals 0. And so we have cos x equals 0, because this guy's factored out. And this guy, we know it's sine x equals the square root of 2 over 2, which is really 1 over the square root of 2. This guy is the rationalized answer. Okay, well, where is cos 0? Well, cos 0 is at pi over 2 and down below at 3 pi over 2. And this guy, it's in these two quadrants, sine positive. And we know the angle is pi over 4 and pi over 4. So it's pi over 4, and then pi subtract pi over 4, which is 3 pi over 4. And then general, just take all that and add 2 pi n NEI. That gives you the general. And this last one, we have an identity, a double angle one again. So it's 2 cos squared minus 1. The reason I picked that one, because I want these guys to stay cos. Fire that over. Put in order. Triple play it. Okay, where is cos 1 at? Well, it's in the unit circle at 0. And this guy is cos negative. Well, it's here and here. And let's label this in now. We have a 2 and a 1, so that's root 3. So I know my reference angle to be pi over 3 and pi over 3. So now it's pi subtract pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3. And the other one is pi plus pi over 3, which is 4 pi over 3. And then there's the answer. Now in general, we just add 2 pi n NEI.